Okay, I have to make one more video because I see this simple, easy thing fucking people up. And I don't. Okay, well, let me just get into it, all right? Saturnalia um, is like Muslim is still Saturnalia, right? Christianity has some basically ritualizing botanical, which was roots, medicine, right? Anatomy. You came up with Saturnalia. And I noticed that the words of Jesus, right, are things that you will utter, right? You will that like things that you're brought to feel and say and think way before you know that you're uh, let's see, uh, edified, I guess. Like, okay, so if I was to say, "Oh Lord, why have you forsaken me?" Right? Like that would be cringe. That would just be like, dude, you're acting like things are so hard or so difficult. It's really not, right? But he had to say that because, like, Christ uh, was anointed by the Spirit. Before that, right, he was just a regular Joe. And so you can say that it's not even necessary for him to have existed to be able to comprehend the significance of the sacrifice for atonement as a like it's fucking that's a gesture. You know what I mean? Like he gave up his life to make a gesture. There must be a significant um, symbolism or like a significant message more so than just it's a gesture. I mean, it's atonement. You don't have a sacrifice for atonement. Your pineal gland is never going to open because we're not Patan Netter Unrod. We're not, you know, you don't have like that. They were Mason. They built statue to immortalize himself, like the Masons do, like raising man to the level of God, elevating man to the level of God. The only way that you can have a choice in the matter is if you build statues. If you get elevated to the level of God through means of man, it's like you don't want that because they only made you a god to please the ethers because the ethers were palpable and they would not be able to build on top of their dynasty legacy unless I'm saying just like okay the word kegel 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 line catheter. So there was a two rivaling factions in masonry. One of them was the Kegel line, but they weren't. Um, they were smeared with the word Kegel, which is a smear, right? It means to cut and run and shit your pants. And later on, they were impersonated by today's Catholics. Now, like not the exact same people, but the progenitors of the religion. And religion, I made a misnomer right now because religion is a way that you cleanse, right? And you get a charge from the cleanse, um, and it comes down. It's about sleep. Like where do you go when you go to sleep, right? Where does your mind go? And you're getting recharged by an archetypal energy symbol, um, and it's ancestral. It's primordial. It's old. It's old as fuck. It's ancient. You know what I mean? So like to look at the occult, right? You need like water, some things like that. Like you go past 50 degrees of masonry when you open up Devashanic planes or like erotic, you know, and Moses, abstained. So like you can render that whole form of measurement irrelevant by service. But if you're not living your life in service, then you need to fuck. It's weird like that. You go mentally ill. So And the only way to become sane is to worry about the right things, right? To worry about sanity. If you're worried about your sanity, then everybody else has faith in you. They'll know that you're worried about your sanity, you know, and they'll put trust in you immediately. That's how it works. Um, religion is the charge off of the spiritual cleanse. You get it in your sleep, right? The science has to do with water and sleep. Secularism doesn't exist outside of the mainstream, right? And Saturnalia is just a way for you to get that context twisted up. You know, religion. If you think of religion as like a book and you know, certain prophets and certain saints and certain angels, right? Then you'll never get it. You're a Saturnalian, you know. And I don't really even disparage it, because like if you're born in the hood, you don't really look crazy selling a few rocks or some kind of drugs, so much as if you fucking move to the hood because like you want to be a pimp or a drug dealer. And it's like people try to leave the hood. You know, if you're rich and your parents are scumbags and they drove you away and you start hanging out with different crowd, that's one thing. But you just like look up to Saturnalia, and you know, like you look up to, not Saturnalia, they look up to the void that's filled by human frailty and weakness. So basically, the more addicted people are, the more they want to be a whore when they grow up. Like then you know that your hustle is going to be supported. It's like, oh, it's good business. But that would never happen if you were born in the hood. You know, you'd be too busy trying to knock dealers down to sell to kids and things like that. I don't know why I'm telling anybody this. Okay, so I wanted to clear up that simple thing, right? Secular is still Saturnalian. All religions are somewhat, even if they're not like, okay, the Eastern religions are less Saturnalian, but they're kind of like charlatan. When you get down to it, it's just botany. It's plants. Plants go hard. People are somatic cell comprised, right? You have 20 times denser. So like a plant can feel if you hurt the plant, you know, but it doesn't register as pain. It registers as like, do you know about drug interactions? Like, are you taking what you need and only what you need? And I'll feel disrespected if you don't, but only through you will I feel disrespected, because you know about me. You just don't respect the frequency, right? Um. So later on, you'll realize that maybe you already know, but we have this whole idea of thinking flipped, because you're smarter when you think less. Like the more you think, the more a discredit and an excuse. When you fuck up, you say I wasn't thinking, right? Um, but thinking is supposed to be a good, right? But it's actually a blinding factor. So like you messed up because you did what you were supposed to do by not thinking. Like thinking is something that, though it's not physical, still materializes in a contextual sense that you could see. You see it with your mind's eye. So what does people not know? I'm trying to rack my brain to teach people something I don't know, because I was like, oh, I need to make one more video, because people are stumbling over something simple, right? It's not that they're stumbling. It's that how can you not resonate favorably with being a Saturnalian? Like, how is it not a good thing? if you're a Muslim, if you're a Christian, if you're Jewish, those aren't bad things, you know. But the thing is, they're always demonize a non-existent entity, which comes one electron or neutron after crystallization, right? It's 6 proton, 6 neutron, 5 electrons, crystallization, structure, form, right? Crystalline, and even in, okay, so any kind of significance of form or structure is crystalline, and you can't add a final sixth electron to that. It wouldn't exist. The problem of perfection is solvency, and that's why we make solutions. I'm talking about, like, you have to track back those chemical um, changes that happen as a result of man, right? Not the natural chemical changes, but the ones that man contributed to. Because before that, the word was ascribed to action, and when you name something like a chemical, a metal, or anything, it tells you what it's doing. Um, the rest is just silly shit. The rest is just really silly, man. It's like, why? Okay, I know why. I'm not gonna get into that. It's like, why do we have uh, an NT? Like, in the alphabet, the NT, because your subconscious, you can't hear it, and I think the Greeks and Latin didn't know that, right? We have the bull twice. We have A and B. Is both of those are the bull. So this language is not an organic language to be just ascribed to an angle, right? There are angles, and this, you could say, it's the language of angles because it's English, but that doesn't mean that it gives you more facets and more expression. And I'm not saying that if that it's insufficient either, because if you're given a discarded insufficient language and you can't do anything with it, then it's to your credit. So you should probably be upset when people butcher the English language or do things to try and, like, conflagrate. Conflagrate, is that flame configure? Conflagate. There's conflagrate and conflagrate or something. One is fire and the burn up, and the other one is like to make them the same. Generalization. Okay, so I think I could say the meaning, the reason I'm making this one video, right? It's not to tell anybody anything they didn't know. It's so you can know what I pertain to know, right?